So finally I'm back with another album review for you guys, and I wanted to mix it up a bit today, and I wanted to come back with an album which I thought people on this channel would be really excited to see. So I thought, let's do a solo Beatles album. So hello and yes, welcome to another album review with me, Rockboy680. Now today, of course, going over a solo Beatles album. It is going to be George Harrison's 33 1/3. Now then, it's been a very long time since I've done an album review, probably about a month now. And I've been mixing it up in my head for quite a while now. I wanted to change how I do my album reviews. As some of you remember from the last one I done, ELO 2, I wanted to make it more strict, wanted to make my reviews more strict on albums, and I wanted to show that I was putting more effort into the thought process behind the scoring of the album. And with the ELO 2 review, I thought it worked out pretty good, but then when I done Jeff Lynne's Alone in the Universe, I kind of regretted the score I gave it a bit. So it was a bit like, how do I make these scores sound better? How can I put more effort into making what I'm saying sound like I actually know what I'm talking about? How do I make it sound more sensible, if you know what I mean? And actually I was talking to one of my mates this morning, and on my movie channel, if you guys haven't checked that out, it's I've got it promoted on my channel. By giving a movie a marking out of 10, what I always do is I give it a mark out of 10 on the directing, then the story, then the acting, then I add it all up, divide it by 3, and that gives me an overall marking out of 10. So I've had this idea in my mind for quite some time now, probably a good month or two, and then when one of my mates this morning said it, I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea, really. I should just start doing that by giving each tracker on the album a marking out of 10, and then adding it all up and dividing it by however many tracks are on the album. So I thought that was a good idea because, you know, I've had this idea in my mind for quite some time now. So and then when I heard someone else say it, I thought, yeah, that's got to work, I reckon. So one of my mates at school, I've got to give it props to him because it was his idea, really. But it was just a fun thought, and I thought, you know, this is going to work, this would be good. So for this album, it's going to be new. I'm going to mark each track out of 10 as well. At the end, we're going to add it all up, divide it by 10 because there's 10 tracks on the album. Now we'll give us our full solid mark out of 10 of what I feel this album deserves. But other than that, it is still going to be the same process. I'm going to give you information on the album, we're going to go over each track individually, I'll show you my copy of the vinyl record, and then I'm going to give it a mark out of 10. So yeah, same sort of process, just we're going to give it a better mark. We're going to give it a mark which it deserves, really, I think. So anyway, I've got my bottle of water here with me today. Not bleach, Ben. So, yeah, in case my voice goes. And yeah, I haven't done an album review in what? Since Jeff Lynne's his new album come out? So that was over a month ago now. And it was ELO 2 before that. So it's been at least a month since I've done an album review. So I wanted to come back with you guys with an album which I thought you'd all enjoy. And, you know, my channel, a lot of people come here are Beatles fans, so I thought a solo Beatle album would be a perfect way to go. And I thought, well, I've done so many Paul McCartney. I'm kind of afraid to review John Lennon stuff because, you know, John Lennon is the man. He is the man. He's the music man. You know, if you say too many bad things about his albums, you're going to get destroyed. And I just don't have it in me to say bad things about John Lennon because I think he is the god of music. So I thought George Harrison, we're going to go with George. I don't know enough about Ringo. I don't really care about Ringo too much, so I couldn't really do any of his solo albums. So I thought a George Harrison album would be the way to go. And this album here is really looked at as his comeback album. His comeback to music. And it's so well loved. I love this album. I'll say that hands down. This is a good album already, I can tell you that. Which won't shock you guys. So I'm really excited to be reviewing this. So as I say, information about the album, we're going to go over each track individually. I'll show you my copy of the vinyl record, and then we're going to give it our mark out of 10. Our sensible mark out of 10. So anyway, 4 minutes into the video and I've already rambled on and we ain't even started, so let's get started. So then, George Harrison's 33 1/3. This was his 7th studio album, released on the 19th of November 1976. It was his first album on the Dark Horse label. And you guys probably know Dark Horse from his actual album Dark Horse, which was the album which came out before this one, and Dark Horse then Extra Textra, I think. Yeah. Dark Horse was came out in 73, 74, and you know, that was basically when he had the idea of this record label, and he was basically created it to raise money for a film company so they can make some films. Um, and, you know, he couldn't go onto the record label itself yet because he was still signed to Apple. He had his contracts. They had to go to 75. All of the Beatles had to do it. However, Paul got out of it a little bit early, I think, somehow. So, yeah, and after 75, all the Beatles pretty much left Apple. And including George, and of course he had his own record label already prime and ready to go. So he headed straight to Dark Horse for this album. And, you know, interesting album. George coming out of a bit of a dark time in his life. On Extra Texture and Dark Horse, you can really hear it. The drugs in his throat and not holding up well. Songwriting, it all sounds a bit kind of not as much effort went into making Dark Horse and Extra Texture as what went into this one. And it's mainly because of the drugs and the drinking. And then, of course, the My Sweet Lord copyright situation had just happened. So which we will talk about more when we get to the song. This song. So yeah, it's a good album for George. It's a good time for George. He's coming out of a bit of a slump in his life, so it was a fantastic time for George, really. And chart positions didn't do too good in the UK. Got number 35. You know, I think it should have been in the top 20 at least. In the US, you guys obviously do better music at this time. Letting it get to number 11, much better position for it. But the highest position it managed to get was in the Canadian charts at number 10. So number 10 is the best this album could do. A bit of a shame because I think, you know, I don't think this album is probably worthy of a number 1 spot. But it's a strong album for George. It would have been cool to get, you know, a little bit further into single digits, maybe 7 or 8. But, well, you know, not too bad there. So then, let's start off with the first track on the album, Woman Don't Cry For Me. Now, this is a very interesting opening track. Straight away, it starts with a really fun, energetic, bouncy feeling to it. And the reason that that's so good for me is because his albums prior to this, Dark Horse and Extra Texture, had such a gritty, dirty, kind of sloppy kind of feel to them. I don't dislike them albums. I really sound like I'm hating on them. But you know, that's the way them albums sound. Whereas this one has a much more upbeat, bouncy kind of fun sound to it, which is why I like it, because it shows George is going in a different way now. With, you know, the change, you know, he's not doing as much drugs and whatnot. He's coming out of that bit of slump, as I said. So it's really good. It has a nice beat to it. It has some really good parts when it like slows down and then it comes back with the guitar. Fantastic. Very creative song. The vocals are really good, actually. Probably the best vocal performance we've had from George since Living in the Material World. It has absolutely great lyrics as well. Really fun song. So this song here I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 to. So now we're moving on to the track Dear One. Now this one starts off really slow. There's no other way to say it. It's really dreary, kind of boring. The guitar is just... It's got a good guitar sound. It would have worked better as an instrumental, the intro, I think. Then George's vocals come in and they're kind of George's typical slow vocals where it's kind of like... Sounds like it's... He really sounds like he's taking his time to sing these lines, and he really is. But you know, it's not bad. It's just a little bit too slow for me at the start. But it's all being done on purpose, of course. So it actually works in the song's favour, really, because then all of a sudden you get to the chorus about a minute and a half into it. It just picks up. It's really fun, really energetic. The chorus is amazing. The lyrics, well, the lyrics are okay, I guess. It's Dear One. It's like he's singing about this creator, how he loves him, and he's singing about all the things that the creator has done. So it's kind of an interesting perspective in the way he's singing about it, because he's looking at this person he's singing about, saying how he feels about him, and then he's singing about what he's done. So it's kind of an interesting perspective to go from 2 points of view, I think. So I've got to give him credit for that. But overall, I think the song is way too dominated by the slow moments. So I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 10. So it's an average song. So yeah, I just clarified that actually. I should have done this at the start. 5, anything under a 5, I wouldn't say is good. 5 is average. Anything above a 5 is good. Got it. Okay, so now moving on to the third track on the album, Beautiful Girl. Now this sounds a bit muffled on the vinyl pressing. Because when I was playing this, getting ready for the review earlier, I was a bit like, wow, this is a bit muffled. And then I played the remastered CD here, which I'm going to show in a bit. I was like, wow, you got to hear the remastered one of this. So, Beautiful Girl. I'm not going to let this affect the score I give it, but I just thought I'd say it. The vinyl pressing of this one is bloody awful. You got to hear this one on the remastered pressing CD because it sounds so much better. But anyway, makes for a really interesting song now, this one, I think. The really good lyrics, actually, I think, because he's just singing about this beautiful girl he's found, why she's so great, why she's so beautiful. Interesting lyrics. The vocals are actually pretty good. But the only problem with this song is, I feel it is a good song. Really fun, energetic, simple, easy listening, smooth song. The only problem with it is the song really doesn't change much. It's kind of like you get the same beat throughout the whole song. Fair enough, the chorus kind of ups its tempo a bit. But overall, it isn't really, the song doesn't really do too much. But overall, good song. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good song. Okay, where are we? Okay, now on to the song, This Song. Now, of course, everyone knows this song is mainly about the copyright to My Sweet Lord. You can hear it in the lines, like when he says, this song is for you, it's for me. You know, basically saying it's a simple song, don't take it too seriously. It isn't going to be anyone's copyright. I don't think he could have hinted enough that that was about the copyright to My Sweet Lord. So, really interesting lyrics behind that one. Really good. And of course, this was the single to the album as well. And the song itself opens up really well with a nice organ kind of sound to it, which was really cool. Fast, fun, energetic song. Probably my second favourite song on the album. It's a really good track, actually, I think. Fantastic music video to it as well. If you haven't seen the music video, gotta check it out. It's fantastic. There's a load of piano kind of solo moments in there, which is fantastic. It's got so well organised, this song. How you have all the different instruments having their own little pieces in the song. It's just very well produced, fantastically well done. So I'm going to give that song an 8 out of 10. So now we're moving on to the last song of side 1, and this is a song which I don't really care for. This is a song called See Yourself. Now, it's an interesting song, but definitely one of the forgettable ones on the album. Song doesn't really change at all, but I do like the guitar parts in it, though. That they have it kind of picks it up out of its slow moments, the guitar, I feel. But overall, the song's it doesn't do much for me. So I'm gonna give it just below an average score. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Okay, so now we're moving on to side 2 of the record. So then it opens up with It's What You Value. Now, It's What You Value is definitely much better than See Yourself. It really picks the album up a bit, I feel. It's a fun tune, opening up side 2. The lyrics are a bit weak, but I have to say the vocals are just great. And I love the saxophone parts in it, just fantastic. And you know, at the time, in the early 70s, saxophone was really all the deal, especially with like, a lot of the solo Beatles albums really. You can hear it a lot on Ringo's Ringo and Goodnight Vienna. You can hear it a lot on Mr. Lennon's Sometime in New York City, and then his rock and roll album. And now George is finally getting into using a lot of sax on his albums, because this album here features a lot of saxophones. And this song here especially has some fantastic saxophone moments. So I'm going to give this song a 7 out of 10. Another really good one there. Then we get to the track True Love. Now this is another one which I really don't really care for. So it's got great slide guitar opening, I must say, because one of the things you can always point out on Beatles songs is when it's a slide guitar, it's like, oh, that's George. It's like when you hear these Travelling Wilburys songs, it's like, okay, who's playing lead on this one? You hear the slide, it's like, well, that's George. It's like he's just so recognisable for his slide guitar sounds. And this song here opens up with it, and it sounds amazing. But then the song just goes a bit downhill for me, because the song just generally doesn't change much. It really doesn't do much for me. Overall, I would use the word boring, unfortunately. I hate saying that word, but unfortunately that is how I feel about this song. It's a little bit boring at times. And George's vocal performance on just some of the lines where he sings the line True Love, just a little bit kind of whiny at times, I felt. Sometimes he sung it really well. I'm not saying all the time, but at times it sounded a little bit whiny. But, you know, I'm going to give this song a 4 out of 10. I'm being a little bit kind now, I think. So I'm just putting it just under an average score. But it's not one of my favourites on the album. It probably is my least favourite track on the album. It's between that and See Yourself, so. Okay, so now we move on to the song Pure Smoky. Now, it starts off really nice and smooth with a really kind of relaxing feel to it. It's easy listening, probably the best vocal performance on the album though, I must say. I think, out of all the tracks on here, this one has the best vocal performance, but unfortunately the rest of the song kind of lets it down a bit because it doesn't really adapt, it doesn't change much, it has that same kind of beat throughout the whole song, which I think is a bit where the song kind of falls down on itself. So I'm going to give that one a solid average mark, 5 out of 10. So now we move on to my favourite track on the album, Crackerbox Palace. Now, I'm going to make this pretty quick, pretty easy, pretty simple. The song is brilliant. It's so fun, energetic, the lyrics are just wacky and weird but fun, the music video is good, the vocal performance is great, everything about it is pretty damn good. The only downfall which I'd have on it is I think it could have done with a couple slow moments in it just to kind of pull the song back a bit on itself, because it's kind of just going at this same pace throughout the whole thing. So it would have been nice to have a little bit of a change of riff in the middle or something. But other than that, the song is so damn good. I love this track to bits. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So then now we're on to the last track, Learning How to Love You. Slower song, pulls the album back a bit from Crackerbox Palace. But Learning How to Love You is actually a pretty damn good song. I love the bass work in it. Great lyrics, great vocals, nice slow song to finish the album on. It's really nicely done, I have to say. So I'm going to give that song a 7 out of 10. So then, we're going to come back to those markings at the end of the video to give it its mark out of 10. What I want to do first is I'm going to show you the CD which I own in the vinyl. So I got the CD out of my Dark Horse Years box set here. And, these remasters that they done for George are simply amazing. George Harrison's remasters do sound just blimmin' brilliant, if you ask me. They've done such a nice job, Danny Harrison. Amazing work with them. Get a little book in there. Let's hold it up that way. Some fantastic work in there, really. I mean, it's they sound so much refreshed. Especially the track "Beautiful Girl." You listen to the vinyl pressing of that, and then go straight onto the remastered CD. You can really hear how well they've remastered these songs, how much effort they've put into making these songs sound what they should sound like. Brilliant work, really. Here's the vinyl record, of course. Love the cover. Absolutely love it. One of George's best. And the back covers are really nice as well. And you open it up. Got pictures there of some of the people who played on the album. So you've got George and his dad up there. Billy Preston down here, of course. And then let's open it up. And here's the vinyl. So you get the lyrics on the back there. And here it is for the first time ever with George. You've got the Dark Horse record label, which is really nice. So yeah, that's pretty much everything there for George Harrison's 33 1/3 there. That's really good album from George, I must say. Really good effort. So once I added up all of the scores, which I gave it, so it was a 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and 7 out of 10. I added all that up, divided it by 10, and that's given me my overall mark for this album. So this album, I think I'm happy with the score I'm giving it, but it got a 6.3 out of 10. Now then, I think that's a pretty good score. I think if I was reviewing this without doing the markings out of 10 for each song, probably would have given it about 6.5 or a 7. So I am going to stick by that. 6.3, I think it's a good score. It's above a 5. Anything above a 5, I say, is a good album. So I know it seems a bit low compared to some albums which I've reviewed. But anyway, I'm going to keep the new system because I think it works a lot better and it's a lot more honest. So a 6.3 out of 10 for George Harrison's 33 1/3. Pretty happy with that score, I gotta say. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review, guys. Please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment on what you thought. Thank you very much for watching. See you later, guys. Bye.
I was so young when I was born.